What's going on, folks? This is Coach Marcus Pro Fan Talk. Wanted to look at and answer some questions from, I did this video, I put it out yesterday, and this is a film study. This is a film session, so check it out if you hadn't had a chance to. And the question was Jalen that bad? And I go through the game, and I must have reviewed maybe, I don't know, 20 plays or so. So it wasn't necessarily my opinions. It was based on what I was seeing on film. All right. Because of course, everybody's going crazy over what Dan Orlovsky said. And then Ryan Fitzpatrick had something to say about that. Basically what Orlovsky said was,
so I think there's going to be a lot of conversation, a lot of opinions on the Eagles pass game. I thought Jalen Hurts played as well as he could, given what he was asked to do. Okay. My biggest concern in the pass game coming out of Sundays, no one's open. They double AJ up top, not open, not open, not open, not open, not open. Everyone's going, well, Jalen Hurts, he's rusty, he's struggling, he's not throwing the football, or no, he wasn't. No one got open. No, credit Green Bay. My concern is, why did they know what it felt like every route was? Covered, 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 covered. No one open. Let's go and run a screen. How do they know what everything's doing? Screen's covered. So naturally, everyone's going to go, Jalen Hurts is rusty. Jalen Hurts played bad. No, he didn't. And that's why I sent the tweet out of, oh, it's going to be interesting to hear people talk about it, because the people who didn't actually watch the game or don't know what they're talking about are going to say, man, he was rusty. No, he wasn't.
There were a lot of situations where the scheme wasn't right. Nobody was open. And it looked as if Green Bay knew what plays we were running. Ryan Fitzpatrick chimed in and was like, hey, when you're at this level, you're supposed to throw guys open and you got to see it before it happens, you know, much to that effect. So you had two former quarterbacks on both sides of the coin. And when I watch this film, I look at it from the standpoint of, I'm not a quarterback, I'm a running back. So my perspective is a little bit different. I don't know what all of the reads and the quarterback has to go through, but what I look at it is from this perspective of, when Jalen Hurts gets to the top of his drop, what does he see? Because me not being a quarterback, I can at least look at the field and say, he's open, he's about to be open, he's covered, there's a blitz coming. I can figure out things like that. So it's a very nuanced conversation, and it kind of meets somewhere in the middle. It's not always good, it's not always bad. It's never as bad as you think it is, and it's never as good as you think it is. When Dan Orlovsky chimed in about that, Seth Joyner chimed in, and when I heard the comment, I agreed with it. And then when I watched film for myself, I adjusted my comment a little bit. You know what I mean? So you got to look at it from both sides of the coin. But I got a question, I got a comment on my film study. And this is from Swaggy T. Dot. This was a comment to that video on YouTube. And he said, they didn't know our plays. The dude watches Jalen throw it and chases the ball. Orlovsky's shit getting out of hand. They didn't know our plays. People were open. No, they didn't know our plays, literally. And Dan Orlovsky didn't say that. What he was referring to is analytics. And what that literally means is the stuff that we do as players. Most of our time is in film study. You watch film on site, you watch film before, after practice, and a lot of these guys watch film when they get home. You know, you can tap into a network and watch any film you want now. We didn't have that back in the day when I played. You had to go home with VCR tapes and Super Beta. A lot of the guys had a Super Beta Max, a Super VHS, and they had all these different tape players, because nothing was digital back then. So when you watch tape at home, number one, you had to have the right equipment at home. Some of the guys had projectors and stuff like that so they could watch it on the big screen. But for the most part, it was nowhere near as easy as it is now. You can bring up the game on an iPad the night after a game. I remember in high school, I had to wait till the film got developed. We had guys that would stay overnight and develop film so we could watch it the next day. That's how far technology has come. So when I talk about, and when Dan Orlovsky talk about, they kind of know what we got coming. That is strictly from film study. No, they don't know all of our plays, but what you have is hours and hours and hours of film study, because every team, defense, offense, special teams, every team has tells. Every team does things that you recognize. You multiply that by the analytics you get from watching film. This team, when it's 3rd and 5, and they have this personnel in, they run this defense 61% of the time. When they're on offense, it's 4th and 1, and they bring in this personnel package on offense, they're going to run this play 71.3% of the time, and so on and so on. And now teams they hire people, and all they do is watch film, gather analytical data, gather statistical data, and give it to the players, to the coaches, so they can formulate a game plan. So no, they don't know all of the plays, but what they do know is what they've seen on film for the past 4 years. For the past 2 seasons, when this coach was with this team running this particular defense, this is what they did 40% of the time, 30% of the time. This is what they did on 1st down, 2nd down, 3rd down, 3rd and short, 4th and 1. How many times did they go for a 2-point conversion? All of that information is statistical data, analytics. Analytics didn't start on the computer. We was doing that way back in the day. We just called it film study. And you had a notepad and a notebook, and you had to write everything down. So you had to always go back to your notes. We didn't have a database. We couldn't go to the Excel spreadsheet because we did it different back then, but it's the same stuff. And then again, you fast forward it to today's technology, and it's just a mountain worth of data that tells you what coaches, what teams do what in different situations. If you ever noticed, the play sheet that these coaches hold on the sideline, you ever notice how a lot of them are different colors or shaded one way or the other? Each color represents a different situation. 3rd and short might be highlighted in red. 3rd and mid or long might be highlighted in yellow. 1st downs might be all white. 2nd and 10 might be all orange, or different things like that. Try to get a look at some of these play sheets that the coaches are holding when they're covering their mouths and all of that kind of stuff, and they're reading off plays. You know why they cover their mouth? Because teams started hiring people that could read lips so they could figure out what play they was calling. It goes to that degree. So when I see Swaggy T-Dot, like, come on, man, they don't know all of our plays. Not so much, bro. And in effect, they do know the plays because they've been watching film. They know when Devontae Smith goes in motion on this particular down and distance, in this particular package or in this formation, they have a good idea of what may be coming. They're not always right, but all you got to do is be right one time. Because all you got to do is be right in the right situation. Not 100% of the time, but there's going to come a time where it's 3rd and whatever, it's 4th and whatever, and you get a stop, you get a turnover because you recognize what was coming. The best players do it all of the time. So no, you don't know all of the plays, but you do watch film. A bad play can ruin 4 quarters of a great game, and a great play can overshadow a crappy game by a player. If they make the right play at the right time, all is forgiven. But that doesn't mean that the bad play didn't happen, because that's what you're going to go back and watch on film. Go Birds.